Good morning. What are you going to be doing today? Who are you going to be talking to? Your spouse, your children, your parents, your coworkers, your employer, your employees, people that you meet at the grocery store. Think about that for a moment. Who are you going to be having conversations with today? And what are you going to talk about? A lot of times the conversations kind of just happen. I think we might need to spend a little time this morning thinking about what we're going to say and how we're going to say it. And it comes, many of you know, one of the things I do in reading the Bible is I continually read through Proverbs, and whatever day of the month it is, that's the proverb that I read. So today was Proverbs 13. And I just want to pick out one verse that was in that chapter this morning. It's Proverbs 13:3. It says, "Careful words make for a careful life. Careless talk may ruin everything." And this relates to a couple of different things. One is we've just now started a new study in our men's group called The Power of a Praying Husband. And one of the things we talked about in our first meeting last week, by the way, if there are any of you men that would like to be a part of that, it's not too late to get started. Great, amazing study that I promise will make a significant impact on your marriage. But one of the things we talked about is how we have conversations with our wives. And a couple of things related to this verse. One is sometimes we don't realize the tone that we use. And tone can mean everything. And so we wonder why we say something and our wives get upset. It's not necessarily what we say as it is how we say it sometimes. And then there was another thing that we talked about, that how we have conversations with our wives, particularly in the presence of other people. So we talked about how one person in particular had an agreement between their spouse that they would never criticize their spouse in front of other people. And if you haven't made that commitment, if you're not aware of it, sometimes it just happens and you don't mean to. But if you say something that's negative or somewhat hurtful to someone, it just makes it that much worse when there are other people around that probably don't need to be privy to that. They become aware of it. And so again, careful words make for a careful life. Careless talk may ruin everything. But it's not just about our spouses. Ask who you are going to be having conversations with today. As we have conversations and share things, I think a lot of times it's important for us to realize not just what we're saying and what we mean, but how might it be received by the person we're talking to. What is their situation? What are they doing? What might they be thinking? And I know we don't have time to do this with every conversation of every person that we encounter, but I think Scripture here and all throughout it talks in the Bible in many places about the power of the tongue, about how powerful our words are. And I just think we have some responsibility in that. So not just thinking about what we say and getting our point across, but considering how someone else is going to hear that and how it may impact them. I think you know where I'm going with it without having to say a whole lot more about it. One last thing I would say, and it's that whole thing with the idea of gossiping that's also in Scripture. And one, I think, misnomer about gossip is that gossip is hearsay, or gossip is stuff that's not necessarily true. So there are people who will justify what they say, even when it can be hurtful sometimes, and they say, but it's true. Well, just because something is true doesn't mean that you should say it. It doesn't even mean you have a right to say it. Because just like the Scripture says here, those words can really create issues and problems and challenges that you don't want and God doesn't desire. So, I encourage you today, maybe even pray about it after this is over, and really think about it and consider and ask God to be a part of guiding the words that you share today with everyone that you may be talking to. Have a great day.